around Caps' performance in playoffs. We thought his play-ins looked good, but we need to see that confidence back as Draven will hit the ban board from Gen.G on the red side. Nidalee actually banned away from G2 with Vi and Cassante to join alongside.
Yeah, the respect given over to Hansam and Draven, despite the fact that it was a loss. You talked about it, they created that early advantage, they stacked the wave, they got the early dive, and Gen.G clearly recognizing that, hey, had this game got a little bit differently, the Draven could have really been a problem.
And immediately the Kennen picked undefeated so far, if I remember correctly, and MSI into it though. Maokai Tristana for Gen.G.
This was something that Gen.G brought out in their final winning match against T1. We saw the double AD carry with the more scaling defensive top side, and later on in the team fights they were able to play very well, and I think that Gen.G's found a strong formula coming into this series. They're saying, you know what, we believe in our ability to fight you better in the late game. We believe that our map understanding is greater than yours, so why bother trying to do anything early? Let's just stick to what we know and what works.
And Tristana could be a really powerful laner as well here for Chovy. It'll be interesting to see if they're even thinking about potentially flexing it down towards bot. Pace hasn't played it yet this year. Chovy did have the 2 games, as you mentioned, Vedius, but it is always the potential that it can be flexed down there. Can work with some all-in lanes. Annie potentially, could go mid here. Obviously, could go bot as well for Mickey. But he doesn't have any plays on it. It's just the one for Caps. So can be a really strong answer into the Tristana. Of course, you can go cleanse, but the potential of the all-ins there can be pretty frightening.
I will say, if I put my EU hat on for a second, Ken and Annie on the same team, that's not something we see too often. Usually it means you should be able to win that game, or across the course of MSI, that has been a winning combination.
And I've always felt like Yike is really good on the Viego as well. Some of these aggressive AD junglers, people think a lot about the Bel'Veth, about the Vi, about the Viego. I think he can really excel on this. I also love the Annie-Viego pairing because it helps you get that first reset. There's so much upfront burst that you just solo someone out, you burst them down, you get that first soul, and try to allow this Viego to go crazy in the fight.
I'm very surprised to see a Sylas ban, purely because while it's true that Mickey doesn't really play Annie support, if they were to pick a mid laner, after what Chovy just did to Caps, to still show that respect and say, you know what, we don't want to have you playing on your Sylas, like, that's crazy to me, because I think that matchup would have been so in favor of Chovy.
Absolutely, but there's a possibility that they want to do something like Malphite, right? If they want to go Malphite top, you almost always have to ban out the Sylas if you're going to be picking a Malphite.
And also, in 2020, the last time these two teams met, it was Caps stealing an Ash Arrow that won them game 2. Obviously, only a couple of players remain from those teams. It's a little bit of an old narrative, but getting rid of the Sylas, the Rakan, and the Gragas here from G2, so we won't see Doran going back to comfort in the top lane. There's the Sion removed, as you said. Malphite a possibility. We have seen it picked into the Kennen. Can survive the lane, but does struggle a little bit because it's an AP matchup.
Yeah, it is an AP matchup, which can be somewhat difficult, but you can go Comet and go things like Abyssal early, and I think it's actually pretty solid. So we'll see. Lissandra likely not to get locked in, but if it does, it would mean I think we're getting that lane swap. So it is going to be very likely Tristana bot then. They are going to swap. Oh, excuse me, I'm so confused. Oh, is this Lissandra top?
I'm thinking maybe it's Lissandra
or like,
top
are they going
the
super random and support?
Support Lissandra could work, because all you really want to do is ult the Kennen.
Yeah.
That's all. You stand on the Kennen the entire fight, make sure he can never get into the battle.
I mean, it doesn't cancel his ult, obviously, if he already gets on top, but if he can't get
I
past
think you're right. I do think Lissandra top actually makes the most sense.
This is like so old school though. Lissandra hasn't been played top in so long, because you really can struggle mana-wise, and in some of the long lanes it can be difficult, so we have to see how well he's going to be able to play it out. Because I agree with you as far as marking it, but like, Lissandra can struggle in those long lanes, especially against an energy champion. Like, you have to get the push, and then hope that you're not overextending for a gank.
I think I'm still leaning towards it being a support, but we'll have to see if it is, as you say, in that top lane. Thresh Jinx, you talked about the ability to burst down one target. Jinx loves that as well. If she can get excited at the start of the fight, that's when she really ramps up. And there's the Blitzcrank. So it is Lissandra top, Blitzcrank into the Thresh. We have seen actually G2 respecting this a lot in the play-in stage. They banned Blitzcrank in 3 of their 4 games.
Wow. So I still think that Gen.G have just approached this draft in a very intelligent way.
Yeah.
They recognize that G2 is more than happy to play their creative picks along with the meta picks, and they're saying, we know we're giving up Annie, we know we're giving up Kennen, they have the Lissandra prepared.
Are they going to swap?
Oh, maybe they're putting the Tristana, I mean, we'll wait until the last rotation, but they've clearly come prepared with what G2 is trying to do, and I think that once again, they have a very solid front-to-back teamfight composition, they have great utility, their pick potential is great, and it looks like that they will be sending the Tristana top lane.
If I actually did not know which team was which, I would tell you that this was G2 on the red side, 100%, right? Like, this is the inverse of last game, where it's actually like, a potential three-way flex. We're talking, oh, okay, Lissandra gets locked in. Oh, maybe it's going bot lane, maybe it's going mid lane. No, it's actually going to be top lane Tristana here, which should be very, very interesting. I do think you can get the push here against Kennen. I do think if you can play in the wave and actually not get hit by those shurikens, you can have very beneficial trades. But with any marksman top, you are generally really push heavy, which can open you up to ganks. And especially post 6 here with Broken Blade, there's a big chance that this Tristana could get burst down if the jungler
But
comes.
you look on the side of G2, Kennen is one of their primary engage tools, unless they can find a hook with the Thresh. Like, Doran has so many disengage tools, along with the Lissandra, the Maokai. If this Kennen goes in, Gen.G have so many tools to get the Kennen back out again.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting, right? They do have caps as well, of course. Flash, such a big tool for the Annie. You get the Flash tippers, stun people up. Kennen's coming in across. G2 racing out towards bot lane, trying to get this bot lane ward to make sure that they are actually controlling this. But this is a very, very interesting draft from Gen.G. Potential multiple flexes. And I want to see, do they actually win out in these matches? Because they got the Blitzen and Thresh, that is generally considered to be pretty favored. They moved the Lissandra around to actually take this matchup into the Annie. That was their choice. So, you can say they kind of had counter picks in essentially 3 lanes.
And what have they done with Doran? Is it the baked beans? Is it the sausages? Is it a full English breakfast that's just turned him into this top laner? Because it's not what we expect from him at all. I did check the last time we saw internationally Tristana top, Huni for Clutch Gaming in 2019 against Fnatic. It was against a European team, and they lost. Oh. So it's a good sign here for G2.
Well,
Worrying trend for Doran.
We'll see how things play out. G2 as a team is not the best at playing around top. That's not to say that they never do it, but or at least this year, they've been much more of a bot side focused team. Yike, credit to him, did have a strong start to the game in game 1. We'll see if he can replicate that performance. We didn't really see him contest much with Peanut during the game, as Paze and Delight will be a little bit late to lane, as Yike is going to be starting on his Raptors. He will be spotted out by that ward from Chovy. And I thought that Peanut would actually invest a deep ward on towards the top side, but it looks like it's a little bit more of a defensive ward from Doran, as you can see in the top river. Yeah,
they do have that one ward over by Yike's Raptors, to try to track there. It's going to be so interesting to see where they really want to focus. Obviously, really strong ganks can come through with this Maokai, and potentially set up someone like that Tristana. Tristana solo lanes is actually something, I am definitely a big fan of, but I will say if you start to fall behind, you become incredibly useless very, very quickly. It's difficult to actually go into recovery mode on this champion, because often then you're forced into building something like a Vamp Scepter, which is just delaying your Mythic, or you're forced into a Shield Bow, which is really not ideal. So if G2 can put Doran behind on that top side, things could look really good for them.
At the moment, Unsummer and Mickey getting the push in the bottom lane. You can see Paze having to auto space away from Mickey as he walked up with the Flay first. Broken Blade pushed in by Doran. Kind of to be expected when you're playing double range matchup. The range that is physical damage tends to be a little stronger. Early flash from Chovy. Caps now alongside Yike can look to re-gank that mid lane.
You can see that Mickey deliberately walked into the lane, showcased his presence, and then said, well, Chovy, ball's in your court, what are you going to do? And he naturally respected that and flashes away to safety.
I mean, that's great for G2, though. They didn't actually spend anything and they get that flash, but I do think, he had to flash there on Chovy's side, because if you actually get any stun, you're going to get hook guaranteed. The Ignite is going to be enough. Stopwatch is not actually activated
only level
yet,
2
so
as well.
He would definitely be dead there, 100-0. So respectful flash, but a great roam from Mickey, and we'll see what G2 can get going with this, because it's so important to have Caps unlocked on the map. He's so good at actually playing from a position of power, and historically, that has always been his greatest strength to me, is how he plays the map, how he moves around, and actually facilitates his side lanes when he gets an advantage.
Hook lands, Flame Chompers goes down as well. Delight should be able to walk around this one, but they're just trying to turn the damage back onto Mickey. The Ignite ticking on Mickey, and he'll fall first. Paze takes him. Delight just stood in their face and took the full brunt of the G2 bot lane and was still able to flash away.
Yeah, it's tough. They couldn't actually quite land those chompers. Delight just takes the all-in. It looked like he just stood past them. He says, I'm not going to retreat. I'll just take this fight here. And able to get that kill onto Paze, who did go for a call start. Chovy now just wasting Yike's time. This is fully warded out. They're not sure about it. Will he look for something?
Doesn't have the flash, so it would have had to be a flash hook. There's the stun in the Glacial Pass. The Spectral Maul's going to land as well. And in mid lane, Chovy with a great Ring of Frost keeps himself alive. 1 for 1 in the end as the auto follows him underneath the turret.
Chovy continues to walk away the victor. In all honesty, yes, he will lose his life, but the fact that he could trade 1-for-1, still has the teleport. He had full information on where Yike was. Caps had to commit his flash to the play, and that wave is still in a very good spot for Chovy anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he goes 1-for-1, but that's after a support roam. That's after a gank from the jungler there. And Mickey, he might just be dead.
FaZe has the Inferno. Not quite enough with the Q in the end. Mickey flashes to the safety of his tower.
Yeah, Mickey looked like he wanted to try to move up and threaten freezing that wave to try to delay the base, but getting a little bit too aggressive. And is going to be punished for it. He'll have to go back to base now. At least Hans will be able to pick up the majority of this CS. But Gen G, again, out to a really good start here. It's Caps moving up towards top, but that is warded out in the river. And Caps knows it. Doran just started backing off.
The vision from Gen G has been immaculate this early game. Just great insight as to where Yike is and what he's been trying to do on the map. Some of that vision will now disappear, but it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. Broken Blade looking for a bit of a trade. You can see small CS discrepancies starting to being built up. Top lane, mid lane, Gen G get themselves a bit of an early lead. Wanted to talk earlier about that bot lane skirmish too. Remember that Mickey was still only level 2 in that play because of that roam. So while he did gain an advantage, Gen G having that level lead were able to come out on top. And oh, nice Hex Flash.
Locked in, the Hex Flash already. Pay's going to get the root as well off the Gravitum. Yike's here to try and save his AD carry, but he can't get there in time. Yike goes forward with the Spectral Maw, but can't land it on Delight, and now Yike and Mickey just going to have to catch this wave.
That one really hurts. Losing the flash and still going down. And it's going to put Hans even further behind. You know, the only saving grace is that the kill went to Delight, not actually onto Paige, but it's a great Hex Flash hook there to set it up. And Chovy now just going to continue that relentless push down towards mid. You know, as soon as the jungler shows bot as well, you have full freedom to actually just push in these soul lanes here for Gen G.
Yeah, it looks like Upset just wasn't expecting that, but a big blunder from him individually. Effectively face-checking that brush, and Mickey not being in a position to offer the lantern.
Yeah, Hans Summer caught out a little bit by that. And Gen G looking for another bush gank in that bottom lane. Delight has already shown us he can be on point with these hooks.
It's actually really interesting. You look at Doran's build, he's building so much for that 1v1. I wonder if he is going to focus more on the side lane. Of course, it is double AP solo laners, so no Magic Mantle, not bad by any means. Peanut likely to retreat here. There is 6 on Broken Blade. Will he look for the flash?
Oh, hook on Paze as well, down towards the bottom side. Flashing forward, he has red, white, and he wants to fight. Another hook brings them back, and it's a double for the rookie in the bot lane.
And he has white guns here, and Yike show top, so he can farm plates as well. He doesn't even have to base here. You know, normally you would have to get out of there immediately, but he's going to get 2 solo plates after 2 kills. That's essentially a triple kill worth of gold going straight over to Paze there. This guy is going to be so far ahead. I mean, he's closing in on like double the gold now of Hans.
Caps is going to try and get
No
something
flash,
back, but it's not going to convert into anything. The bot lane will be sent mid to catch that wave. Caps going to be catching this wave in bot. But what a difference we're seeing from game 1 to game 2. Paze and Delight with a focus from G2, constantly looking for dives, trying to punish them in a favorable matchup, and now they're getting revenge in the 2 versus 2. G2 trying to find something back in the top lane.
Spectral Maw, Doran does still have the flash and will get underneath the tower with it. Delight, there's a minion there, my dude.
Targon secured.
Yeah, that's what he wanted, just wanted to stab.
Hasn't missed the hook yet, though.
True.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Still hitting.
Yeah.
That still counts. Able to transfer some gold over to Chovy, but wow, what a bot gap. Game 1, it was the difference between the mid laners. Game 2, it's all about bots. Broken Blade kind of forced underneath this tower for most of the laning phase, but Gen G have accrued a 2,000 gold lead largely off the back of their bot side.
And they will get a slight advantage up here on that top side. You know, Doran had a really good early buster shot. Keeping that cannon away meant there was no chance of the follow-up. Yike potentially could look for a dive here, but it's going to get warded out. You know, they are denying multiple waves, though. They get that play for him. It's already 2 full waves denied, so this is allowing Broken Blade to catch up.
They've also swapped their AD carry and support up towards this top side of the map to make sure they can get the Rift held. Caps is left alone down towards the bottom side, pops the Tibbers to get the stun up. Delight stun, locks him up with a knockup though, and Caps will fall underneath the tower. The Rift held will be taken for G2 in response, but overall, Paze and Delight are putting on a show.
I mean, Pace is just going to be such a problem. He has 4,700 gold right now. Hansama's at 2,600, and he's about to get solo gold on more plays. So, you know, realistically could actually be sitting at double the gold of the Jinx on the other side. Jinx does not have any utility to speak of. There's no fallback plan there. It's just got to do lots of damage.
G2's only option is to cross map. They're going to drop the Herald top. Broken Blade now becomes the main win condition for G2, as Chovy has spotted Mickey out, trying to offer some support in the top lane. But all of this gold continues to be funneled into Paze. You already mentioned it, Azel. he only continues to grow as a problem.
They're going to dive again.
Caps.
No ult.
Needs an EpiPen because he's going to have a peanut allergy in a second as Peanut dives in. The lockdown comes out and FaZe is unstoppable. He tanks the Super Mega Death Rocket, which does not live up to its name. And 5 plates on the horizon for Gen.G.
Yeah, and 3 of the 4 so far have all been solo plates onto FaZe, so he's just getting so rich down here. They knew Caps didn't have the Tibbers. He used it on that previous dive to try to clear out the wave, so there's just not a threat of a turnaround. FaZe is going to stay, try to look for that 5th and final play, but the TP will dissuade him. They're getting the Dragon at the same time, though. Gen.G are just getting everything.
I do love Caps, though. He's like, okay, I died under this tower once, cool. I then died again. TP back to the turret. I will defend it with my life. So far, it's cost him
his
twice.
lives, not his life.
His lives, true.
Yeah.
Luckily, he can come back. But Gen.G, as you say, 3,000 gold ahead now. And the gold for G2 sits up towards that top side on Yike, on Broken Blade. But the question is whether they'll actually be able to utilize any of it to get this game back out of Gen.G's hands.
I mean, it's going to be really, really hard, right? You know, yes, Broken Blade does have an advantage, but it's only going to be about 500 gold. It's not a massive one up on that top side, and there are some pretty good disengage options here. You know, trying to fight through that Maokai as the cannon. The Buster Shot is there as well, the Lissandra that you talked about. All of these different ways to actually mark this cannon, because really G2 now is looking for that perfect flank where you can get in on top of FaZe, where you can burst them down immediately, get those resets, because if you can't take FaZe out of the fight right off the bat, you're just not winning a fight.
I agree. I think that is the only way in which G2 really win this game, if Broken Blade can kill FaZe. And so far, Gen.G's vision control has been immaculate. Finding that flank is going to be incredibly challenging. You just look at the minimap and you can see the difference in vision. As Doran looking for a bit of a fight against Caps here.
Hook goes wide up towards the top side as well, but Yike, the Moonlight Vigil, look out for FaZe! Oh, that was beautiful! FaZe showing up in his first international tournament. Ruler who, he says, as he manages just to get that solo kill in the top lane.
And he's about to cash in his cult. There he did. 7,200 gold to 3,500 on the other side. That is a bit of a bot gap.
Like me at a buffet, just picking up all the plates. He got 4 down towards the bottom lane. He's getting more up towards the top lane. And Gen.G just show us they can play through anyone. Game 1, it was the Chovy show. Here, now, it's the FaZe show.
I mean, it's just tough, right? You know, G2 went towards some really strong early game options. You know, they had a solid early game from Yike. They had a solid early game from Onsama. They're now on much more scaling options in this second game, and Gen.G is showing without that early game power, G2 just haven't been able to compete.
Flash play, look for FaZe, but the hook comes back out. Onsama tries to open up, but they can just tank this tower for days. G2 so far behind that FaZe only got 220 gold for that kill.
It was a situation where Mickey is trying, out of desperation, to turn something back for G2. He sees the Maokai ultimate, knows he's going to get hooked, so he's like, oh, maybe I can just make a flash play, hook play. There were too many minions, the hook didn't connect, and now Gen.G are threatening another dive. I
mean, it's tough to say 12 minutes in, but you're at the point of the game where you're looking for those 5% plays, those 10% plays
I'm
almost.
I'm going to go 1% plays here, Azale. I'm going to be honest, man. We've seen Gen.G in this position before. They're 7,000 gold ahead at 12 minutes. G2 needs something miraculous for this, and the pastor of the church is playing mid lane for the other team.
It's the fact that FaZe has
benevolent God.
over double the gold of Hansama is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
What absolute destruction we have seen on the bot side of the map. And, like, sure, if you can kill FaZe, you can argue, oh, well, that gold difference suddenly goes away. Good luck killing FaZe.
You have to put everything into
He's
killing
got a
him as well.
Bloodthirster. He now has a Bloodthirster. Like, it's
And Doran does as well, right? And that's a luxury of being this far ahead, is you don't actually need to itemize to maximize damage here. You know, Doran has null magic mantle and a BT, and he's playing with overheal. You're not going to be able to burst this guy down instantaneously. There's also no one on G2's side that it's going to be able to actually match with Tristana now that he has this itemization in his side lane, so he can just constantly push, force someone to match him, or give up free towers, which Tristana can do. And as long as there is not that odd-numbered fight, Gen.G are not afraid of anything, so this is going to become such a difficult game where Gen.G always are having push on sides, are going to be able to use that to get deep vision, to be able to mark the cannon, and I think G2 is going to have to choose their moment where they draw their line on this end and they say, all right, we're just going to all in for this, and we're going to pray it works, and if it does, you can start thinking about maybe some ways to come back.
Yeah, I would even argue that the ruthless thing about Gen.G is they'll take their time. You know, like they're not a team. They're not like G2 who will try and beat your Nexus with the Rift Herald at 20 minutes. They're going to play this methodically. They're going to take their time. They're not going to run any risks.
Looking like an Elder game.
Yeah.
If we get to Elder Drake, that's a win for us.
Yeah. But they're a team that, like, they can be meticulous, you know, with their vision, with their threat, and they know they have a numbers advantage right now. Chovy is threatening a dive. G2 sense it, and it's it's that presence that allows them to secure this objective largely.
Here we go. Lands, they're going to burst down Mickey underneath the tower. Delight tanks up the tower shots.
TP.
Yike will get one reset, but the tower does fall, and Yike goes down before Broken Blade can even get in. He dices his way away as the Gale force forward, and now Doran can just hop over the wall, and his hop skip jump for Gen G. Doran dives out once again, 3-1 in favor of Gen G.
An absolute masterclass from the LCK #1 seed here. They are making it look easy against G2, taking them down, looking for the dives. They get 3 kills there. They deny the TP. That was that window that Broken Blade was really looking for, but Gen G just pushed forward. They kill off everyone, so there's no opportunity for Broken Blade to go in there. They're going to grab the Herald as well. They've already cracked all the outers, so they're going to be looking for inners here.
Ivers, flash over the wall, Doran dashes away. That's the Annie! That's the 100% ban rate Annie that just can't do anything here against Gen G.
I mean, Caps doesn't even have an item.
I think it's a little bit more than the but we'll take
No, that's it. Oh, God. Look away.
And the goal difference.
If you hold your hand over the bottom half of that, though,
it's not too bad.
It's not too bad. If you like, kind of, pretend the bot lane doesn't exist. Hey, it's only like,
I mean, expectations coming into the series, obviously Gen G were the heavy favorites coming into this best of 5, but to see the difference happen like this in Game 2, for there to be such a dramatic bot gap was not where I was expecting the difference to take place. Hans and Mickey have a lot of experience internationally. The last time we saw Hans Summer at Worlds, he was a standout. So for FaZe,
that Worlds were incredible.
For FaZe in his rookie year to have a performance like this must fill him with confidence as Delight looks for another pick.
And Caps will fall. Delight's going to get him. The stopwatch buys only a brief second to contemplate the embracing arms of death. Yike looking for something as well, does get the stun, but you can buffer a jump out of that. The hook between the uprights as Delight and Doran are able to dodge away from it, and FaZe continues to push in the mid lane. It is his first ever international game where he's had a 4,500 gold lead at 14. It's only his second ever international game.
So he's starting strong.
Not bad.
Yeah, that was a question as well for him, because obviously he played really well in the LCK, but he had huge boots to fill. Ruler leaving after getting Gen G that title in summer last year, and now FaZe is showing us, against G2 who have struggled, but showing us that he's willing to dash forward, to flash forward, to kill off the enemy AD carry, and he was solo in doing so.
The solo kill in the middle of the base at 18 minutes, not even 17 minutes.
Now there is a flank position here. Broken Blade can try and get in. FaZe goes legendary. The slicing maelstrom has gone down and FaZe has fallen. Yike gets the reset, dives forward as well with a heartbreaker. And a small, oh so small glimpse of light at the end of the tunnel for G2. In the end, it won't be much, but it's a little bit encouraging for the European seed too.
Yeah, I mean, I think FaZe is having a little bit of fun with it. He's flashing under the Nexus turrets here at 16, 17 minutes, solo killing Hans Sama with 2 members around him. That is making a statement.
Yeah, I take it back. Gen G aren't going to take this slow at all. I thought they'd be meticulous, calm, calculated.
With them for a few months.
FaZe was like, wow, what a masterclass performance from him, though. We saw that kill he got onto Yike top lane, completely understanding the limitations of his champion. The damage execution was flawless. He's got himself the QSS to help mitigate any of that burst, and just the man is playing on form right now. We didn't get to see the first half of this play, but he just didn't miss a beat. Able to QSS out of the stun from the Annie. And while he does get collapsed on by G2, and G2 gets something back, at the end of the day, the damage is done. And G2 are going to need to find many more fights like this if they want to stand a chance in this game.
Yeah, I mean, they get the 1K shutdown, they get a couple kills. That is going to be nice for Yike, but he is still just so far behind.
No, I've worked it out. Because you have Diego, the Aphelios being fed is good for you.
Yeah, that's right.
You just steal it, right? Caps goes down and Doran now on a killing spree. The TP was cancelled, but the hook connects and Broken Blade will fall as well. Delight picking them up. He's got half as many kills just on the support of Gen G as G2 have in total. Yeah, it is destruction
This is a tough one. This is a tough one. I mean, G2 have got to just stay composed, think about the next game. Let's be honest, this one has been over for a while. It's a 10,000 gold lead here. It's not even 20 minutes. They actually might look to end without Herald, pre-20 minutes.
3:20 minutes, what a win it would be. Mickey pops the play, the box goes down as well. TP in by Chovy. Yike gets one, but he can't get back in time. Caps is going to spawn in 1 second, but the Nexus Tower is the target, and with the minions, no backdoor bonus for G2. Caps looking for the Tibbers. Delight finds the hook once again, and how delicious it is for Gen G to clean up G2. Once again in their base, Hansama shredded by the Shurikens. Yike can only stand and watch as G2 are just demolished by Gen G. They could have ended this 30 seconds ago, but Gen G want to just twist the knife a little bit more. Chovy goes forward, the Nexus falls low, and in the end, Gen G, in dominant fashion, will claim the 2-0 over G2.
This is one of the most dominant international games I think I've ever watched